All right, so we are back. It is 7 a.m. in the morning. I just got off the plane last night from London, and my face is more puffy than Sean Combs. But I'm back to give you guys my first thoughts on KSI versus Tommy Fury. It is now official. I cannot believe they actually got this done. Major fucking props to Misfits, to KSI, to Sauerland Brothers, everybody that took place in getting this actually across the line. This is a massive fight for a ton of reasons. I'm going to talk about exactly why. Can KSI actually get this done? Does Tommy Fury just steamroll through all the influencers and collect the fucking ring pop wannabe Thanos rings of beating all the influencers as a pro fucking boxer? Like I said, there's a lot to go over here. I'm not going to waste any more time. KSI Tommy Fury on the Prime card. It's officially a tough fight. For who and why? The breakdown. Let's go. Okay, so like I said, this, just before we even talk about the fight, is a win for Misfits. Getting Tommy Fury on board here means that you have KSI in the main event with Tommy Fury. You have Logan Paul. I know they're calling it a double main event, but you have him basically in the co-main event versus what I assume to still be Dylan Dennis. Those two fights alone sell this card to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, ever in influencer boxing. This is fucking massive. And I do think we're going to get a stacked card all the way, top to bottom, and I'm going to tell you why in a second, but let's talk about this fight. KSI, Tommy Fury. KSI is legitimately a madman for doing this. He had no reason to fight Tommy Fury other than he wants to prove that he can do something that Jake Paul can't. Now, is that the best way to go about picking fights? No. Is it the smartest way to go about picking fights? No. But the uber confidence, ego, self-belief, whatever you want to say about KSI and guys like him and Jake and the people that are willing to challenge themselves to a degree that is insane and downright delusional makes for groundbreaking events and groundbreaking fights like this one. But the risks involved, especially after seeing what Tommy did to Jake, is why I'm saying KSI has some cojones here. I'm talking the ones you see on the bull at the rodeo. This man got some balls. And that risk being not that KSI is potentially going to lose to Tommy, because I think right now, as it sits, a lot of people are going to say, yes, the most logical outcome to this fight is that KSI loses, but it's the way that KSI loses this fight. If he is in any way not even close in this fight, if it is a runaway fight for Tommy Fury and potentially a knockout victory for Tommy Fury, that is a detrimental thing for KSI in this scene, as well as potentially a fight with Jake. But on the other side of this, you can look at it and say, okay, this could be a win-win for KSI. Let's say he actually does find a way to beat Tommy Fury. That's massive. He's number one in the scene, clears Jake, does what Jake couldn't, the whole thing, the reason he's doing this. And let's say he loses in a similar fashion, it doesn't necessarily hurt the brand, right? It doesn't really hurt the fight with Jake either, because Jake lost in the same way, and potentially Jake has a fight on his hands with Nate Diaz that could go the other way, and Jake's sitting there with 2 losses to KSI's 1. So yeah, it's a massive risk, but at the same time, massive reward, which is why KSI does things like this. Fair play to him. Now, can he actually beat Tommy? The answer is yes. KSI can beat Tommy Fury. The difficulty of doing so, though, is the highest level that KSI's ever seen and doesn't put him in a good position to do so. If anything, in the realm of combat sports has showed us, especially this week, things are unpredictable even at the highest level. Terrence Crawford goes out and dog walks Errol Spence Jr., knocks him down 3 times after Errol Spence hasn't touched the canvas ever in his career. Justin Gaethje knocks out Dustin Poirier with a fucking high kick, and everybody that said, oh wait, I told you Justin was gonna win, you didn't predict a high kick knockout. That doesn't happen with Justin Gaethje until it did. My point is, some things are unpredictable, and KSI in some ways does fit that description. In some ways he is a bit unpredictable, and his fights are a little bit hard to kind of put a nail down on and say this is exactly how it's going to go, because sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get with the guy, because he does have some wrinkles that are a little bit unorthodox. But that being said, this should be a relatively easy fight for Tommy Fury. Let's put our hard hat on here and get out on the construction site, because Tommy Fury does have more tools in his arsenal as a boxer to build a better offense and defensive game plan around what KSI does. KSI, while being unpredictable, especially early in fights, does become 1 to 2 dimensional as the fight goes on. And again, that can change, and KSI has shown he's been able to change little by little through his fights, so maybe it isn't him just switching stance, pinballing his way to range to try to land big shots, or the right hand left hook over, or just the big overhand right that looks to club someone on the side of the head. Maybe it's a little bit more than that now, but we have to say what we've seen, and that is what we've seen from KSI. And from that, he's going to move forward and throw combinations to the body upstairs. Sometimes he'll get a little off balance with his right hand, sometimes he'll overthrow it, and sometimes he'll put himself in a bad position to be countered with the big overhand right, which is 100% what KSI sees in this fight. Whoever is editing this, Christian or Leo, to put on screen exactly what I'm talking about here, because it's the biggest point. I know what KSI sees in Tommy Fury and why he believes so much that he's going to win this fight. Round 1, Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. I think it was about a minute in, but I could be wrong. Tommy feints his way to range. I don't even know if he was jabbing, but I know he was feinting his way to then pop out his jab, sliding to his left into a power hand of an orthodox fighter in Jake. And Jake gets underneath it, and a big right hand comes over the top, lands directly on the eye socket of Tommy Fury. Big time, and Tommy takes the shot. KSI, I guarantee you, looked at that shot and said, that's all I need. Now, that's not the way the fight's going to go. Of course not. KSI's not just going to walk into range, throw the big right hand, the Nightmare song plays, and everybody starts chanting the 3 letters we all know. And we're going to do a lot more breakdowns on this, especially when I can start to see a little bit more of what KSI is going to bring to this fight. Like, I don't think that Tommy's going to change much, right? He's been training since he was 6 to 7 to 8 or whenever they said he started boxing. The only thing I will say that will change and will be a factor here for Tommy Fury especially is that KSI didn't have the luxury of getting him first. And what I mean by that is Jake got Tommy Fury in his first main event in front of a crowd with a lot of pressure on him from his family, from the world, everyone saying, Tommy, you can't lose to an influencer. You can't do this. And the whole fight week media hype and the back and forth on Twitter and the back and forth in the press conference, Tommy had never done any of that before on that level. But now he has. But there is something I think could help JJ, and I don't even know if this is a possibility, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. But O'Reilly put out a tweet yesterday that said, if JJ needs sparring for Tommy Fury, I'm always down to help a brother out. And as everybody knows, O'Reilly has been trying to poke at Tommy Fury and say, hey, listen, stop playing the little influencer games and come fight as a pro if you're going to be ranked by the WBC, especially ahead of a guy like O'Reilly. Then come prove that rank and come prove you want to be a championship level boxer and fight for titles, like O'Reilly probably will be doing later this year. And as we all know, JJ and Vidal started this journey together with Leon Wills as the influencer boxing scene started to take place. To be honest with you, I think it would be a good idea to bring somebody like Vidal into camp. If he's willing to be able to not necessarily coach, because JJ does have his coaches, but be able to be in there as a look for JJ to see what a high-level pro looks like and how they'll react to things, and not necessarily just sparring JJ again as a coach, but as someone that's going to have to teach him how hard this fight is actually going to be. And it brings it full circle, man. Like, I even replied and said, I love this. Bring back the old squad for this one. The old team and the new team, all hands on deck. Like, imagine if this truly is going to be KSI's last fight, which he's been talking about. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Imagine the scenes, the storytelling of JJ starting this influencer boxing scene, essentially, and then finding a way to then bring it full circle by having his old team, that O'Reilly is a sparring partner, Leon Wills potentially helping out in the strength and conditioning route, as well as the new team over at Shoot Fighters, and doing that together. This would be the Avengers fucking endgame to fight the ultimate fucking evil in Tommy goddamn Fury. I think it would be dope for the storytelling aspect, but more so than that, I think it would be great for JJ to get work with Vidal again, because 1, he trusts him. 2, Vidal can speak to him in ways that most people can and get to his ear and show him exactly how tough this is going to be. And 3, Vidal is one of the best looks that JJ could get for a boxer that's better than Tommy, that can still do the things Tommy does. I like that. I think it's a good idea. JJ, if you're listening, maybe bring Vidal in, maybe just a couple sessions, just 1 or 2 sparring sessions, just to get that feel back. Going on the road again, and I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in. Thank you guys for that. But I have to say one more time, I'm excited for this fight. And again, prime card could be one of the biggest ones in the influencer boxing scene. But the question still remains, can KSI actually do this? Can he actually beat Tommy Fury? Or will Tommy Fury prove once again that influencers cannot compete with actual talented pro boxers? Don't have those answers, but October 14th on the prime card in the main event, KSI versus Tommy Fury. I guess we'll find out.